Weird Science
is the revolution.
Geiger number 2, written by Jeff Johns, art by Gary Frank, Brad Anderson colors, and Rob Lay on letters. And the thing about this week, me and Zach, we got the wrong review copy. Image, who ends up distributing the stuff for Ghost Machine, sent out the original run, the original volumes number 2. And me and you were kind of joking, and I even joked with the people when I got a hold of them over at Image, the idea that maybe they should have changed up the name, maybe have a subtitle. I guess they don't want to, but it's tough because there's not a real long run of Geiger, and then to have this and just call it Geiger again, there is that. I mean, it's not even a chance. It did happen. They got it mixed up. By the time I ended up getting a hold of them, it was way past Wednesday when the book came out. There are a couple people who seem to have reviewed the wrong issue, but we're not going to do that. We're here to talk about this issue, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I liked this better than the first. The first issue seemed like it was to catch everybody up, get everybody up to speed. So when you get this, not that it's a, world-ending story, but I actually thought it was well done in this play of this, pretty much Atomic Knight kind of deal, trying to, make a better life for himself, to be a better guy. He, at one point, I thought last issue even that he'd be a little annoying. I don't find him that annoying, even though he's like, Mr. Geiger. That gets a little bit, but I kind of like it. A little. It reminds me of Otis, Mr. Luther. But it's one of those where he's there to try to oh, come on, he wants guidance. He wants somebody to tell him the right things to do. But Tariq's not really like that. He's just a guy he's a loner. So it does have this kind of bookend deal that's kind of crazy because they're, obviously they're in the wasteland and they come upon a wild boar. Mm-hmm. And it looks like, oh my God, this isn't as irradiated. Like, this is meat that they can eat. And as they say, it meat's meat, the man's got to eat. Exactly. So they go, they chase it. Then when they go to get it, because it runs into its burrow, its hole, and you see that it's a mom and it has babies. And you end up where they're like, okay, and there's Geiger, he is, practical. He says, we're going to eat him. And you have no, we can't. You can't do that. And he's like, we don't even have enough beans. We don't have enough of that. And it's a pretty funny page turn, right? Because you end up seeing these babies. They're roasting a boar. And you end up having the knights let us give thanks to the beast. And you're like, oh my God, what did they... You find out that what they did was they ended up eating the dad. I mean, not that that's the best thing either. But I guess that's what you got to do. I mean, they do have to survive, but it is kind of funny. What went from one page to the next, and they're celebrating. It's because they ended up doing the dad. But you have this thing again, and I'll give it to you because the knight starts talking about, his guilt and everything that he's done bad. And that comes up in the next scene as well, that these knights are not good guys, and they're not well regarded by people because they're so abusive and over the top, but he does want to change. But again, Geiger says, I'm not here as your priest. I'm not taking confession, but they end up heading into town. And before I hand off to you, the one thing that you have to remember from the first issue, they're trying to find out who this guy is, where this guy is that might actually have been cured from what happened, the glowing man stuff. So they're heading into town for that. But you go from there because there's already a crowd gathered, already pissed because a knight has come into town, right?
Yeah. So they're in the town of Silverton, and they're looking for any lead on the man who's supposedly cured himself. And so Geiger and Nate, the nuclear knight, they're talking to the sheriff around those parts. And immediately Nate's like, this town's a little roughed up. Are y'all having trouble with bandits? And Geiger's like, shut up, Nate. We're not here for that. We're not here for that. And while they're talking, the sheriff brings up, he's like, we don't take too kindly to knights being around here. We know what you and your people have done to not only us, but to our families and whatnot. A lot of people are going to want revenge against you. And Geiger's like, we're not here for that. We just want to know where this guy is, and we'll head on out. But then the sheriff's like, well, I'll make y'all a deal. If y'all help us with our problem, then we'll give you the name of the person. And apparently, for the past few weeks, they've been terrorized by a masked raider who comes in, blows up part of their town, and then runs away with any supplies that they want. So that's what's up for grabs now. He's like, if you catch this guy for us, if you kill him, we'll tell you the name. You can get on out of here, and we'll give you protection from the mob outside who wants to tear Nate apart.
When they go into town, like, Geiger should be smart. Like, they should kind of hide some of the things.
Yeah.
I also like when the sheriff's like, "Hey, ugly guy over there." He doesn't even say. Doesn't even want to learn Nate's name. And I do apologize. I continuously say Atomic Knights because of the DC stuff or whatever with that. But we'll go with Nate. So he ends up
his
where?
name's Nate.
Yeah. So we go and they have to do this. Then they're going to wait. They're going to wait for this masked robber, and you do end up having a pretty cool chase, and the art looks great. This guy does come in on a motorcycle. He ends up blowing some stuff up, tries to get away. Then we're on the train. I mean, you got pretty cool set pieces in this. Nate's getting tossed around. I mean, Nate is having problems. It almost
Nate
falls
is not
off.
built for this life.
Yeah, he almost falls off the train, and he's being held on. But they do end up in a really cool spread page where, boom, glowing man. And you even see, I think at this point, this masked bandit's like, I got into this a little too much.
I'm in over my head.
I was not expecting this. And yeah, the guy, he does fight well. He jumps, he's shooting bullets, all these things. But it does end up where at the one point he is able to jump off the train and run and go to pretty much it's funny because it's like an Old West motif, but not Old West because it's, the post-apocalypse deal. So it almost looks like a stagecoach, but kind of on a truck. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And he jumps in, and just like the boar at the beginning, and Drake goes and looks in and, is going to go all glowing manned up, sees that this guy has a family. And really, he was just trying to get supplies and food and stuff for his family. The weird part is we don't sit around long enough or find out, like, why they didn't just get involved with the village. Maybe there's a past, but we're not going to find out, I guess, because
we're not going to find out.
In this, you end up where, at least this guy, he takes the mask up and says, "Don't hurt them." And again, Geiger's there, his family dead. Like, this is his, soft spot. Maybe not with boars, but even then, they did kind of compromise. But then you start wondering, it's like, okay, the way this is set up, are they going to kill this guy and spare the mom and the kids, just like they did with the boar? But instead, they pretty much just, hey, okay, we're going to beat up your mask. Because this guy did wear a mask. We're going to end up, and it's like a V for Vendetta bandit type mask. It's pretty cool. But he ends up beat it up, get some blood on it, and we will take it to the sheriff and say, hey, here is your, proof of what we did. Sheriff gives them a name, a town, whatnot, and they're going to go off to do that. And then you're like, okay, well, that's kind of, whatever. It's a good issue. You have these things. Until then, when you turn the page at the end and you see that the family and this guy, the bandit, actually looks at this as a turning point. Like, it's almost like, that's it. We're done stealing. We're going to go good. This was a sign. We got caught, but this glowing man, he didn't kill us. He didn't hurt us. He let us go. So we're going on the straight and narrow. We're going to have to do. And then this guy that we saw even last issue that is seemingly looking at, and I keep thinking this is the guy who actually cured himself as well, but they're going to be going in circles with this. But even so, this guy ends up shocking and pretty much killing the dad. So the dad's dead and says, tell me where the glowing man went, which direction. I'm going to start with the kids. It's a crazy ending. And I was shocked because, again, when we were going there, and it's very quick. I mean, this is one of the quicker reviews we've even done. We didn't really skip anything. It's very quick, really. Very cinematic. But I thought, like, okay, at least one thing goes right in this way. Oh, it didn't. And then one of the coolest things, and the thing that I saw a lot of people real excited about, was that it says next month, the return of Junkyard Joe.
Junkyard Joe.
And so that's pretty cool. And when you even see the next issue of the cover there, it looks awesome. It looks so good.
The Library of Doom.
The Library of Doom looks so good, though. Yeah. And everything is great. It really, the art's really good. The only thing I can say is it really is quick. Yeah, you do progress the deal. You go in and there's tropes. There's the Western trope. You go in, hey, we'll help you if you get this bandit. Like, but you had twists and stuff like that. So I go and I do like Nate. Like I said, I thought Nate. He was going to be annoying, but he isn't. He actually works. Yeah, he can be, but I like it because without that, Geiger's just walking around moping and pretty much talking to Barney. So it's better this way. So I actually really do like it. Really looking forward to next issue. What are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this. I really like the art. The artwork is spectacular. Gary Frank always brings his A game. And yeah, like you said, it's very tropey, but it always has a little bit of a twist to it. So it's always really cool because it's Wild West, but it's an Mad Max future-esque if you want. So it's always really cool. Yeah,
I'm going to go 8.5. I'm a little higher, and I like where there are times where you get cliches and tropes, but they're used in a way that you kind of, okay, we get it. Like, it is that way. It's that storytelling way of, like you said, there's Old West tropes, so we know kind of what's going on. When that crowd is gathered outside, there's not anybody who's going to stop them if they really do want to end up. Yeah, there's the sheriff there, but he's like, well, these people will rip you apart. This isn't a normal society anymore. This is like the Old West, and I like that. And just the idea of, hey, here's the wanted poster. There's this guy with the mask. It was pretty cool. But like you said, with a twist. So that is that.
Weird science is the revolution.